We're talking one of the greats of all time. We're talking Archie Goodwin, one of the best writers in comic book history. Archie Goodwin is in my top 5 list. If I were ever to make a list of comic book writers, he is right there. And Walt Simonson, and during this era, look, Walt Simonson, in my view, eventually falls off. But he was hot. He was white, nuclear hot, and he's hungry when he's drawing Alien, the illustrated story, not Alien movie adaptation, illustrated story. I love the way that they framed that from the opening panels, just from the title, Alien. What Walt Simonson does, it's providence. There's a level of foreshadowing to what we would later get from the visuals of this franchise. I'm talking all the other movies, I'm talking the other comic series, I'm talking the other painted covers, and the whole collective visual history of the Alien franchise. Walt Simonson, from inception, he contributes to that, and no one gives him credit, which is beyond me. And Archie Goodwin here, again, he sculpts and carves out an Alien story. This is good enough to go right into like canon here, meaning we could have done like a sequel just based on the quality of this book. It's not a movie adaptation. This is something different, and this is what makes it so special. On my list of all-time comic book movie adaptations, this is number 2. Earlier this year we did Dick Tracy, the Kyle Baker Dick Tracy, and number 3, yes, would be the Jerry Ordway Batman 1989 DC comic book adaptation. Guys, it's Alien Week, it's Friday, let's hit that drawing table and let's just enjoy looking at something together. Just our eyeballs, our peepers. Let's go. Good morning, aka Patters. Has the night ever just flew by you to the point of, I don't know, like a head spinning notion? Because that's literally how I feel right now. Late last night, I brought you guys Aliens Earth War for Alien Week, and I ain't doing any drawing. I hate it when I come back to my drawing table and I see the previous night's work when it's not drawing. But here it is, guys. Heavy Metal presents. I hope to God you're familiar with Heavy Metal. I've been gearing up also. I know I tease a lot on this channel, but my point and my intent is to highlight everything. Like everything. We're building into a Heavy Metal show, Heavy Metal episode, not show, but we're going to profile Heavy Metal coming up. What the hell are these tentacles? It doesn't matter. It evokes interest. And that's the point of the whole opening here. So let's get into it. I gotta point this out. So, as I already said, we did Alien Earth War last episode. Look at just the similarity of these insert pages. AKA Patters. I love it. This is just a good reminder of how perfect of a design the alien creature is. That's why we launched this week. Speaking of H.R. Giger. Because there's so much adulation to the alien design. Look at this black and white artwork here. Look at the dropship right here. I love. So Walter Simonson, he later becomes maybe and these are weird classifications, I know, but he later becomes the greatest effects artist of all time. The way how he draws light, streaks, motion, we see it all in Thor. He brings it to other characters that don't quite fit and hit. But when he's on Thor, and I'll say probably during his Fantastic Four run, It's amazing. This is always how you can tell if it's Walt Simonson. But here's that title I was speaking to you of. And look, I don't know. I mean, the details, but the foresight to know that this would become a staple of a franchise. Like, is it luck? Is it something else? We live as we dream alone. Joseph Conrad, right? Hearts of Darkness. It's like a couple years, maybe even sometimes like a couple months go by. I picked this edition up a lot. I love flipping through this edition. I love the coloring, like here, the reds and the yellows, the pink background, the blue foreground. Every time I pick this book up and look through it, I just identify different things. I identify how well he's drawing the likenesses. Look at Dallas here. I love this slow wake up. I love the paneling here, the pouring of the coffee. We established right away that we're in a blue collar world. And again, too, like, look at the paneling. The alien resin, right? Like the resin cocoons or the resin hives that they secrete really didn't come into being until post-Aliens. I mean, if you have to think about that. We're in 1979 here. It's not until 1987, 1988, 1990 that more of the visual language of Alien becomes this. That's a little bit what I mean by there's foresight and foreshadowing here. I mean, this too. Just the way that they're leaning. So casual. Yeah, and here we go. Our crew of the Nostromo, they get their signal. Get Kane over here. That settles one thing. When we get there, you can walk on it. Famous last words, and here we go. So now we're to the illustrated story. Like, we're to, like, the credits. And I love, like, this is where, when they're coming to the moon, like planet side or moon side, right? You almost, like, hear music. There's very few times when you read a comic that you literally hear music. And this is what I mean about Simonson and his effects. Look at these effects. He is later to perfect this. Again, too, like his motion, you know, when they're putting out this fire. We don't get any of the director's cut or cutscenes in here. And here we go. So I know there's a black and white version of this that's out there. I'm not sure what it goes for. One was for bid on eBay not long ago. Again, the sun rising. The atmosphere. I mean, we are in these different effects. We have one of my favorite techniques. We know when we're in a different scene just by the tone and the coloring alone. The transition to this page. And again, there's a weight that exists. And I love that he's blurring the horizon line. But there's a weight to the characters drawn. Even Ripley here. And boom. Like, guys, how impactful is that? Given you're working from a script, you may have stills. Because I believe some of this stuff wasn't to be revealed on screen. I believe this stuff was printed in a couple magazines to build a level of excitement for the movie or anticipation. Of course, they're not going to reveal the alien. So these guys don't know that it's not daylight, right? Like, they don't know how Ridley Scott shot this. They don't know all the details, but here we go. We get to the engineer. And say what you want about Prometheus. You can easily say everything we see in Prometheus is still not this. And I love that back and forth, and I love that mystery. I'm not crazy for animatics, but he sells them here. And I love, look, the shadowing for the fingers and what's coming over the hand. So I would say, like, if you're working from photographs and you have this, right? Adding this to here, right? It's not too much of a stretch. Yeah, and quick apologies. Kane's the one that gets the face hugger. Earlier here, that I call these negative panels. That's Ash, right? That's Ash. We have Kane. Kane is compromised. We have Josie, the cat. I don't care what people say. When we, like, a lot of times with a likeness, it's not the exact likeness. Sometimes it's just the features of the face and the hair. And for a likeness, like, you know, like, this looks like Tom Skerritt, doesn't it? But again, too, look at that motion. There is a hunger, another animatic. There's a lot of animatics in here. And you want to say, and just so we're clear, an animatic is like panels that repeat. Panels right here with the egg opening. That's an animatic. You want to say the animatics are here to fill in space, or maybe to slow down the story just enough. But look at the contour line work here, the contour shading. And such a good job, too. We go from dark brown, right, to light blue, to now almost like a khaki pastel, to yellow. The color design is incredible. Acid drips, another animatic. Acid drips, and one of the most best scenes in all of these movies is when they trace the acid dripping through the halls. Beautiful defense mechanism if you don't dare kill it. Like, I remember watching this movie when I was younger, and yeah, when they try and burn the knuckle, and you're almost just like, what the hell? And even to this day, in the movie Aliens, when they first get blasted with the acid, you freak out. But here we go. Face hugger comes off. Ash scoops him up. Another animatic. And they're off. And look at AKA Patters. Do we have to do it? Let's just get to issue 1. I make a lot of reference to how difficult it is for a lot of artists to do fire and smoke. This is same Keith, right? Same Keith is later to be discovered by Jim Lee, brought into darker image. Right, you want to say, look, he might be working off the same photograph too for the derelict spaceship. Look at the difference between how same Keith handles smoke, fire, explosion to what Walt Simonson does with it. There's an absolute energy to this. I love the wrinkled paper, like the paper here potentially is warped, so when it's photographed, it has a 3D texture. Again, the motion, the way he hits the figures in right here. It's like, look at that torque. Center line, right there, perfect. I love this pull away shot. And we kind of want to say the adventure begins. Now, here's the wild thing. You're working from a script, so you don't know the time of Kane getting the face hugger off to like the calm. And then we get the wild chest burster scene. We get the dinner scene. And we don't know exactly what this is. Now, if you were to illustrate this now, you would hit this scene differently. You would probably actually add a page or two. Like, you would want the length of the face hugger coming off. Like, you kind of want some burn time. But, you know, we get it one sequence later. All the blood. Parker, take Brett and seal off the immediate area. We've got to find the little bastard and kill it. And again, too, look at the effect of them going through space. Isn't that so weird? It's like they're cutting into like space-time. It's so bizarre. It's great. I love the pink, the purple. And then it becomes a monster movie. That's why I like these adaptations so much. Because it does give us a perspective on the movie. And look, he had pictures of the props. He had pictures of the sets. He's got pictures of the cat, aka Powders. You know, we judge an artist by how well they draw children, explosions, and animals. Simonson's got 2 out of 3 in this. And again, too, look at the motion. I keep saying that, like motion and weight. His figures have motion and weight. And this right here, right, this later became the image of this book. This was clipped and used for a lot of the design of the reprints. And we don't get the scene where Brett's Brett finds the skin, and even this panel too. Like, see, like they show off the ship so well. Like, you see we're in like a different. It's so easy to see we're in different areas of the ship, but we don't get the scene where the water is like dripping on his head, and he kind of has that moment of calm before the alien. Then we have Dallas hunting down the xenomorph in the tunnels, which is one hell of a sequence. And again, too, like all of this, like James Cameron must have watched this movie 1,000 times, because he uses this gimmick so well in Aliens. But look at the effects. Flamethrower, lens flare, spotlight. Like, it's so there, aka Powders, and boom. So again, we all know the size of the alien. We all know the way the alien is used on screen. Here, the idea that the alien grows into a monster, like he's Hulk size almost. It's really the only criticism, but it's an adaptation. The adaptations don't always come out perfect. We have Ash versus Ripley. Ripley knocks off Ash's head. We have more animatics. And here we go. And then like, look at this. Like, look at the face. You can't. It's a perfect organism. And that structural perfection, it's matched only by its hospitality. So they set out to kill it. And look, Jones. I look at that silhouette with that cat. The team getting ready. Again, great motion, great action. Time to go one-on-one with the Xeno. And again, too, like look at him like spinning around. Dropping the canisters. And you want to say, right, within the script, the alien cocoons itself. I mean, I'm not sure how accurate in the script that is, but look at Sigourney Weaver, Ripley running. This panel here is like absolute perfection. Like, no words required, but look at her stopping her run, stopping her step, and sliding. We would do more of the story, aka Powders, but we're not here for the story. We're really here for the eyeballs. We make that adjustment from time to time. We do the story, or we just look at the art, and we have some amazing effects here. More flamethrower effects. Yeah, and then we're in the escape pod and nuked. So, given this is the colorist, this is now Walt Simonson. But if he were to draw this, we can imagine what Walt Simonson would draw this as. Yeah, and then we're at the end, right? We're at the comm.
but not really. So we don't get like the booty shot. We don't. Same Keith though, right? Let's give Same Keith some credit because very early on in Alien Earth War, where was it? He chose to show Sigourney Weaver looking good in that crop top with a little bit of that booty hanging out, right? Even here, waking up. So we don't quite get that. We don't quite get her crawling into the spacesuit. Again, look at this panel. I love this angle, right? Because like the angle of the escape vessels, like it's almost like upside down and three-quarter bottom. Harpoon gun, we blast the alien out into space. It ends as it begins with a ship. The ship and the silence. So again, we open. It starts with the ship and silence, and it ends with the ship and silence. People, you have to say to yourself, the reason why these were important, it wasn't to sell the movie, okay? These were printed for people who didn't have access to the movie, that wanted to see what the movie was about. That's, again, for a time, that was the major importance of illustrated adaptations for these films. They helped keep the word going. They helped spread it. And then with the home video market emerging, probably hitting its height like 10 years after this, it became essential for reaching new fans, developing new fans, and reaching people who didn't have access to the movie. That's the overall importance. I love this book so much. I love what the design looks like. I love the insert art. It's just there. Like there's not a wasted page. There's no wasted space in this book at all. Perfect publication.